Hey everybody, Hebrew Hulk here. So I'm just doing a late night run to Costco because of course I'm out of a couple of things, as always happens to me at the worst times. I want to do a video about just some tips for beginners. Like, everyone was a beginner at some point and there's nothing wrong with being a beginner. Like when I first started, I was fully aware that I needed to make a life change my diet, change my exercise, and basically just change everything around. I started very, very slowly, and I do think that was probably the right approach for most people trying to get into it. Like, I started exercising right away. It was a pretty intense program. It was actually that P90X program, as I mentioned before. So I was kind of able to work up my pace and get better at it as I went. So it wasn't like I had to go really extreme right away. Like, yeah, it hurt a lot, but I was able to keep kind of going at my own pace. So bumpy road. So when I first started, I was about 260 pounds, very overweight, and I'd say it took about a year for me to achieve 220, which was a pretty decent weight for my body. Like, definitely felt a lot healthier, a lot better. I could do a lot more. I didn't have like a six-pack or anything like that because I'm not a lean figure. I had a bit of belly around or a little fat around my belly, which the average person will always have until you really nail down your diet, especially if you've been overweight before. It's trickier than it seems. So there's a couple, let's say, laws I followed when I first started, and I'll add the ones I started with and then keep going from there. So number one, cut down on sugars. And part of that happened because I was working security and I just snacked all the time. Because I was working 12-hour security shifts, night shifts, really alone, really isolated, didn't know what else to do, so I just snacked to stay awake. And within a little while, I broke out really, really bad. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta cut back on sugars. And then, I think it's about the same time I started working out. So then there's also, I realized I had to cut back on sodium, because I must be getting in way too much sodium. I was doing what I thought was healthy. I was doing like lean cuisines and all that sort of stuff, and the steamers. Then actually look at the sodium contents of them and realize, like, for one of those, you're getting in almost like 3/4 of your daily food intake. So it really came down to, so cut my sugar, cut my sodium, and like that did help a lot in my opinion, watching those intakes, because you get a lot of sodium no matter what you do. It's really hard to actually cut all the sodium out of your diet. It's just easier to cut out the excess, because even when you think you're cutting out sodium, you're probably still using some here and there. I'm not saying, like, you know, be terrified of sodium, but just be careful where you're getting it from and try to get it from more natural sources, in my opinion. So those are kind of the ideas I started with, and then ones I've learned as I go is that if you're a beginner, very important to just up your protein intake, because most studies have proven, do not ask me to quote studies, I read this one years ago, that the average person, this road sucks, the average person is in a constant protein deficit at all given times. If the average person does nothing to their workout or training program but increases their natural protein intake, or their daily protein intake I should say, body will start to naturally lose weight, because the body gets what it naturally needs. The body can go without carbs. You know, that's proven multiple times with the ketogenic diet, using fat stores instead of carbs. The body can go without fats. That's proven a lot in dieting too. But the body cannot survive without protein. Nothing against vegans. There's a lot of great natural vegan protein sources out there. I'm fully willing to admit to that one. So nothing against vegans here. But even you can admit that you need a good protein source. And that's one thing I get most commonly working in the supplement stores. People come in and start talking about their diet. And it's, okay, well, what's your diet like? And they start talking a little bit, and almost everybody I talk to that does have a problem with weight and wants to improve it is not getting enough protein in. So, in my opinion, those are basically the 3 golden rules to really start your way into fitness. Well, into fitness and basically weight loss in general. Number 1, watch your sugars. Number 2, watch your sodiums. Number 3, increase your protein intake. And you'd be surprised how much those 3 little things can change everything. At the same point, you know, don't go for fatty protein intakes if you can. Always try and stick with something lean. Always try and go with what you consider to be the better, healthier option. And also, there's not really a rule of thumb, but something I do believe I'm going to throw out there. I really don't believe there is a good type of bread you can use for dieting. I've had some trainers give me on certain kind of breads, and granted, there's a lot more to that than I understand, but I'm a firm believer, you know, if you're trying to diet, cut out your breads, because the body does not digest it well. Anyways, that's all I got to say for that. I'm at Costco, going to go buy a couple things I need. So remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you, and the diet does not have to challenge you.